Hey guys, it's Shumail from Team PGSC, and today I'll be going over my Infernoble Knight deck profile. So because of Rise of Duelist being released, I think I've got the rest of the cards that I need for this. It is the first time I am playing combo, so I'm really excited to try this out. I've been trying it online, and I think it's pretty good. So let's get into the profile, and then I'll be showing a combo at the end of the video as well. So firstly, we have three Infernoble Knight Renaud. So he's actually one of the older ones, relatively. So he came out in Toon Chaos, and when he's special summoned, then he can add an equip spell or a Fire Warrior from your banished or your grave to your hand. And if you control a Fire Warrior monster, then you can special summon him from your hand. And if he's summoned that way, he becomes a tuner. So he's really good with your Synchro plays and your Halqifibrax plays. He's a really good card. I'd say one of the best extenders in the deck. Maybe the best extender, so it's really good. Then we have three of the new Infernoble Knight, Ogier. Now he's really good as well. He's like the Armageddon Knight of the deck. He can send a Fire Warrior or a Noble Arms card from the deck to the grave when he's normal or special summoned. So again, that's really helpful, especially in tandem with Renaud, because he can send whatever you want in your hand and then Renaud can add it back to your hand, so it's almost like a rota. And then both of them can make Isolde, so it kind of works out in your favour all the time. And he's got a high defense, so you know if your opponent does Zexal you, you can just set this and pass. Also, Ogier and Oliver, which I'll get into in a second, both have a graveyard effect. So this one has its effect that he can equip himself to a warrior monster while he's in the graveyard, and that monster becomes indestructible by card effects, so it's really good for protection. And the other one, which is Oliver. So when he's in the graveyard, he can equip himself to a warrior monster, and that warrior monster becomes untargetable by card effects. So if you equip them both, then it's like the warrior is a Magispector. Oliver has a really good summoning condition as well, where he can send an equip spell or a fire warrior from your hand or field to the grave to special summon himself. So I think it's really good because it gets your free body on board. He's a tuner, so again, Halqifibrax as well as Synchro plays, so he's really good for those. So yeah, it's overall a very powerful card. One thing to note though, if he is summoned by his own effect, then he does become a level 1, so depending on your board, you can decide, oh, I need a level 4 or I need a level 1, and play it like that. And finally, I have the one Astolfo. So he's not really starter, I would say. He's more of an extender. He can summon himself by banishing a Fire Warrior from your hand or grave, and then he can copy the level if he wants to. So depending on what you have on the board, you can decide to change his level. It's not mandatory, so you can decide whether to do that or not. And in the grave, he's got a very good effect as well. So if you can banish him from the grave, and then during your second standby phase, he will summon himself back as well as a Fire Warrior that's in your grave or banished. So that's really good for recursion and for the grind game. So I'd say the new Noble Knights, Infernoble Knights, are really, really good, powerful, and yeah, I mean they work really well together. So it's quite well made archetype, I think. Next we have the defensive and offensive card. So Immortal Phoenix Gearfried is really good. Because he's, as a defensive card, you can summon him in your first turn to play around Nibiru, and as an offensive card, going second, you can summon it and just get rid of any problematic monsters. So for those of you who don't know, he can be summoned by banishing an equip spell from your field or grave. So you summon him from your hand, and then his other effects are that if a monster effect is activated, then you can, as a quick effect, send an equip spell from the field to the grave that you control, obviously, and then negate that monster effect and destroy it. So it's really good for playing around hand traps, such as Nibiru, which again is quite powerful against this deck. So it's really good in that sense. As the offensive version, if you're going second, for example, if he attacks, or if he battles, then you can steal a monster, basically. So it's like 1,000 Eyes on crack, because you can attack with him and then equip any monster on the field to him, and that monster makes him gain 500 attack. So he'll become 35, and he can equip without targeting, so it doesn't destroy it, doesn't target. So any problematic monsters that you might be facing, you can just get rid of them or attack over them. So it's really good. Next we have our Isolde makers, or enablers. We have 3 Sublimation Knight and the Squeak Knight. So they go really well together. Sublimation Knight is probably your best 1-card combo, and I'll show you that later on. When he's normal or special summoned, you can equip him with a Fire Warrior or a Gemini monster. In this case, our choice is a Fire Warrior, which is Squeak Knight. And the reason we equip him with Squeak Knight is because this is a Union monster, which means he can special summon himself out, and therefore you have 2 warriors. You have 2 warriors, you can go for your Isolde Blaze. So it's a 1-card combo, it's really good. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't really come up often, but if this is special summoned from when you unequip the monster, then he can turn himself into a tuner. That does lock you into summoning only once from the extra deck, so you can just make Herald if you have a really, really bad hand. Or if they, somehow have something on the field which stops you from getting to Isolde. For example, if they Ghost Reaper you. So yeah, it's very unlikely for that to happen, but again, it's something that should be noted that he can turn himself into a tuner if necessary. Then we have more extenders. We have the 1 Super Quantum Red Layer, because he's a Fire Warrior, and he can special summon himself, so he's a free summon, level 5, so level 5 sometimes does come in handy, and he's 2000, so you can get rid of, floodgates. Well, that might be annoying to have on the field that you can't, for example, go into the extra deck or something, or anything of the sort, like a Macrocosmos or something. If you're playing against Border, even, you can just crash into Border. So yeah, so it's really, really powerful card. And then, one of the new extenders, we have Fireflint Lady. Play 3 of her because she's just so useful. She's a Fire Warrior, it's like she was made for the archetype, and she could special summon herself if I control a warrior monster. So very easy summoning condition, and very easy to summon. It is searchable in the deck as well, so I think it's just really good overall. Then we have our tuners, which we use for Halqifibrax and our Synchro plays. Jet Synchron and Mecha Phantom Beast Soul Iron. I don't think we need to go into too much detail on those. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about them. Plague Spreader is the new addition, and that's because the combo I'll show you, it allows you to play a bit of a different way to get your few draws as well. It also unbricks you, so if you open your O-Lion, you can just put it back with Plague Spreader and then summon it off a Rorodon. So yeah, it's really good. It just helps you unbrick a bit if you have. But again, overall, I think it's a very, very powerful card as well. And for the final monsters, we have 3 Ash and 3 Ogre. So Ash is really good against almost everything. Ogre, again, really powerful. It's becoming more prevalent now, I think, especially with Zexal going around. All the Numeron stuff, you can Ogre the field spell. But it's also good in other matchups, for example, against any Halqifibrax or Aurodon plays. So if you Ogre the Aurodon, it can be quite devastating for the opponent. And Ghost Ogre just, I think, overall is a really good card. It's also an extender in this specific deck, because it's a tuner and a level 3, and that really comes in handy as well. Onto our spells. We have our 2 extenders, E-Telly and Hornet Drones. So Hornet Drones, really good because, again, it summons a warrior, because the token is a warrior, not a machine. So again, free warriors means 3 years old. And also, because it's a quick play, if they do try and Zexal you, you can just set this and pass turn, and then when it's their turn, if they try and attack for game or do any big plays, you can just activate this and just, survive another turn. But that's only in some cases. E-Telly, same kind of thing, but this one summons out Ogre, so if they do Nibiru you any point before you can make a negate, then you can just carry on with a different line of play, because again, it's a level 3 tuner. Then we have our searches, so we have 1 Rota and 3 Heritage of the Chalice. So Rota, again, searches your whole deck basically, apart from Gearfried and Super Quantum Red Layer. So any piece that you're missing, you can just get off Reinforcements of the Army. Heritage of the Chalice is also basically a Rota, because most of your deck are Noble Knights, but it can also search your equip spell, which is really important to note, because your equip spells are also searches. So yeah, as long as people don't start playing Growl, I think this deck will do quite well. Yeah. Then on to our equip spells, so I'll go over the new ones first. So we have 3 Infernoble Arms Durandal and 1 Infernoble Arms Joyas. So these are really good as well, because Durandal is your searcher, again, for searching any Fire Warrior monster. well, level 5 or lower, and this allows you to recur one from your grave. So again, it's really good, because if they do get rid of something that you really need, or if you send something with Ogier but you don't have Renaud in your hand, you can just get it back with Joyeuse. So it's really powerful, because in one sense you could summon Ogier, send Renaud, activate this, add back Renaud, summon Renaud, and then add this back, so you've not lost anything really. You've just gone +1. That's an interesting interaction. And they also have a second effect if the equipped monster is sent to the grave. So if the equipped monster is sent to the grave for Durandal, then you can special summon a level 5 or low Fire Warrior from your graveyard, so you could just summon back the thing that was sent to the grave. And this one allows you to special summon from hand, so it's pretty good. Next, we have our equip spells that we need for Isolde. Now again, this is for based on personal preference. I personally enjoy these. So Phoenix Blade, it's a good discard for Jet Synchron, and it's just a good card to have because it also boosts by 300. Can be clutch in some situations, so it's a really good card. Living Fossil, it's just like a Monster Reborn, isn't it? So again, really, really powerful for your as an extender. Noble's Arms are for Dirter. Now this is really, really good against back row decks because it can bait out a couple of them. So if you equip it to, I don't know, one of your warriors and you target a set card they control, it's actually a set card, so it doesn't even have to be a back row, but normally is used for back row because this deck does struggle against back row game 1. So yeah, if we get rid of one of their back row cards, then we link into Isolde. Its effect will activate because it was destroyed, so it'll re-equip itself to Isolde, and then because Isolde is a Noble Knight monster, and then you can just pop another card, so really good value out of this card. Smoke Grenade of the Thief is like a win condition almost, because you pop it with your own cards, and then you have a look at your opponent's hand, all the information that you need, and then you just get rid of one of them, and then you can repeat the same thing next turn if you really want to. So really, really good. Sometimes you get to do it twice a turn as well. So ripping 2 cards out of your opponent's hand and setting up negations kind of stops them from playing the game. For our final 3 spells, we have Call by the Grave. Again, we are playing combo, so I've noticed that if they hand trap you at the correct time, then you kind of are stuck. So Call by the Grave is really good. Yes, it doesn't do much against Impermanence or Gamma, but I mean, if they have that and they use it, I don't think there's many ways of playing around it anyway in this deck. I mean, you do play extenders, which is why they're so good, but Gamma is really, really good against this deck. And for our traps, we only play 3 traps. We play the 3 Impermanences. Yeah, not much to say here. They're just really good. So overall 9 hand traps in the deck. Yeah, it's good against Zexal, I think that's the main thing. As long as I don't get stopped from playing on my turn, I can probably play through anything. There was actually a point where I did try and break a board of someone summoning. I think it was one of the Scarlet Red Archfiend cards. I don't know what they call, Calamity or whatever, and I couldn't activate anything. So yeah, and I still won. So it is possible to play around someone locking you out for a turn, but I think it's just better to stay safe. Alright, now for the extra deck, we have, for the Link monsters, we have a Link Cross, Alcifibrax, we have 2 Isoldes, and we have an Aurodon. Now, again, these are really good cards. I don't think I need to explain these 3, they always go in tandem with each other, so they just enable you to summon out your negates. Isolde, again, really powerful card. You can send a lot of equip spells, and it is a Noble Knight monster. It's important to note that because there are cards that interact with it, such as Heritage of the Chalices, Noble Knight Arms, Arthur, stuff like that. So it's really, really good. And we play 2 just in case the first one gets negated, so you always have to have a second one in case. So sometimes what happens is the first effect gets negated, so you just summon another one and use the second effect, and if they don't have a negation for that, then it's pretty good. We also play the 1 access code, and that's just because, I mean, it's a really powerful card. Again, it just gets rid of boards. Yeah, that's the main thing. It just gets rid of boards, which might be annoying to get rid of otherwise. Then for our Synchros, we play 1 Metal Marcher. I don't think I need to explain that too much. Play the Herald of the Arc Light. It's got negate. Play a Librarian, and Axel Synchron, so they're important in the combo, which I'll be going over in a bit. But yeah, no, really, really powerful cards. And then for our higher level Synchros, first we'll go on to our Infernoble Knight or Noble Knight Synchros. We have Ignoble Knight of High Lonzelin. So he's one of your guys that if you brick, is really good because he gets you to any of your equip spells that you need, and then you can carry on playing from there. He's really good. Roland is the new one. He's really good because he helps you search for any monsters during the end phase, and you can send an equip spell to the grave, which is actually relevant in the combo. Not only that, he's also a tuner, so you can carry on doing your plays, keep on drawing. And also, he's got a quick effect engrave. He can quick effect equip himself to a warrior monster, and that warrior monster gains 500 attack. So again, really good for attack boost. Charles is probably one of the best ones because you want to end with him, and it's really good to have him because if an equip card is equipped to a monster on the field, doesn't matter if it's on your side or your opponent's side, he can pop a card without targeting, so it's really good. And also during the end phase, every end phase, not just mine, during the end phase, you can equip him with an equip spell from your hand or grave, and then equip him with a fire monster from your deck. So again, during the end phase, he's basically popping a card every turn. And one of the cards you pop is the Smoke Grenade of the Thief. And for our final two Synchros, we play one Savage and one Trish. So Savage Dragon, again, negate, not much to say there. Trishula is a level 9, so sometimes you don't want to go into your Charles. So, because of the state of the board is in, you just want to get rid of your opponent's resources if you can't kill them that turn. So, getting rid of your opponent's grave resources as well as hand. And it's really good. Really, really good because you can make it quite easily, especially with E-Telly and Auroradon. So, yeah, quite good utility card. Now I don't have a side deck completely prepared, and that's because the meta hasn't really defined itself with the new release of Rise of the Duelist. So the cards I am thinking of putting in though are definitely Cyframe Gamma, and stuff like back row hate, because again, like I said, this deck does struggle against back row, and that's really it. I think Red Reboot and stuff like that. So that would be the side deck. I didn't want to make one specifically for this deck yet because again I haven't played with this in real life. But I think we'll get onto the combo now. Alright, so the combo relies on just Sublimation Knight. So I've just put the other 4 cards in your hand here. So if you open this hand, obviously opening 3 Call by and Impermanence is not the best thing. I mean, they can play around hand traps. But it's just to show that you have 4 cards plus the Sublimation Knight. And what happens is you normal summon the Sublimation Knight, uses effect to equip himself with Squeak Knight. Squeak Knight's effect special summons himself out. And once you've done that, you can make your Isolde. You make your Isolde and use the Isolde's effect to add any warrior from your deck to your hand. So we're going to add another Sublimation Knight, and that's because just in this case, I just want to show you how you don't want to draw. I mean, you don't want to add a card that you might draw later on in the combo because you might want to summon it. But we've already summoned Sublimation now, so it doesn't matter if we add it. Next, you would use Isolde's second effect to send Durandal to the grave to special summon Renaud. Renaud's effect will activate because it was special summoned to target the Durandal and add it back to hand. Then you can activate the Durandal, equipping either monster and using the effect of it to search for another Renaud, and that'll go to grave because of its effect. And then because you have a Fire Warrior on the field, you can special summon this. And because it was special summoned by its own effect, it's now a tuner, so we can send both of these to the grave to summon out our Alcifabrax. Alcifabrax effect will activate to summon out a Plague Spreader zombie. Plague Spreader zombie and Renaud will synchro into a Metal Marcher. Metal Marcher will summon back the Plague Spreader. Now we have the machines, so we go into our Mega Phantom Beast Olion, not Olion, sorry, Auroradon, and that'll activate its effect to summon out 3 tokens. And now that we have that, we can use a Plague Spreader and one of the tokens to summon out our Librarian. And then we can use our Plague Spreader's effect to put back the Sublimation Knight that we searched. So again, if you open a brick, then you can obviously put that back as well. Not that it would make a difference too much, but we're putting back the Sublimation Knight just in case. Plague Spreader zombie, Plague Spreader, and another token now get banished to summon out our Axel Synchron. TG Hyper Librarian will let you draw a card, so you've just drawn the card that you put back on top, so you haven't really lost any advantage. We'll use Axel Synchron's effect to send Jet Synchron to the grave. Next, we will use Jet Synchron's effect, pitching the Sublimation Knight because we can't summon it this turn anyway, to summon it out, and then using Auroradon's effect, we'll tribute both the Jet Synchron and the Auroradon to summon out our Olion. We still have the 4 cards. So Olion and the token will make Roland, so chaining 1 Hyper Librarian, chaining 2 Roland, chaining 3 Olion, so we get to summon our token back, and we get to draw a card. So that could be anything, it could be an extender, it could be a hand trap, so that's really good. And then we'll use Roland and the last token to summon out Savage, chaining 1 Hyper Librarian, chaining 2 Savage Dragon. We'll equip him with the Auroradon, and we'll get to draw a card. And then finally we will synchro these 2 away. Because we did send Jet Synchron with Axel Synchron, we actually reduced its level rather than increasing. So he's a 4, so 5 and a 4 makes our 9, which is our Charles. And then we can proceed to the end phase if we want to. And using Roland's effect, it's going to resolve now, so during the end phase they can't ash it because they should have ashed it on activation. It doesn't activate in the end phase, it just resolves in the end phase. We'll send an equip spell to the grave and add a monster to hand, so we're going to add Gearfried to hand for next turn. And then we'll activate Charles's effect to equip himself with Smoke Grenade and a Fire Warrior from deck. So we're going to equip him with Oliver. Now what Oliver does is, like I said before, he can't be targeted by card effects now. That's really good. And then because the monster was equipped, he can activate his effect to pop the Smoke Grenade. We look at our opponent's hand, just get rid of whatever they have that might be annoying. And we end our turn with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. Now we obviously can't do that, so we would have set some of these cards beforehand, but the 2 cards we drew are an Ogre and a Reinforcement of the Army, so we would have had more extended, and we had a hand trap as well, and we basically have a lot of cards. So we end up on having ripped a card out. Savage has 3 negates, for 3 turns basically. He's on 4050, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in hand. We could have set any of these. This is really good for next turn because, again, it can negate monster effects and it can get rid of monsters. We have a hand trap. Again, these 2 cards could have been anything. And then on their turn, we also have another disruption in the form of Roland. So Roland, as a quick effect, as I said before, can equip himself to any warrior. So he'll equip himself to Charles, and because he was equipped, he can pop a card. So if they, try and extend or try and play something, or like an important piece that they have on board, you can just get rid of it. And then during the end phase, you can equip him with Smoke Grenade again and another Fire Warrior from deck. So you just keep on gaining advantage that way. So yeah, that was a combo. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know the space is a bit small, but I think you probably got the gist of the main pieces that were involved in this. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the format. Hopefully we can start playing soon with all this COVID going on. And yeah, peace.
Shh, not a zombie channel.